Hello, my loves. Welcome to the channel. It is Chrissy G. If you are back, then welcome back, my loves. If you are new here, then welcome to the channel. Welcome to the community, you guys. We have the best community here, the most supportive, and I love the positive vibes all the time. If you guys want to learn anything, get in those comments because everyone here is more than helpful in the comments. So we talk a lot about weight loss. We talk a lot about weight loss injectables used for weight loss and diabetes. I am no medical professional. I've made that clear in many of my videos. I just offer my own experience and advice based on what I've experienced and what others share with me. So if that's your cup of tea, then welcome and thank you so much for joining us. I really felt the urge to do this video. I have been hearing so much from just everyone about compounding pharmacies because now they're able to also produce Mounjaro, which they've been doing it for a while, but it's kind of been like on the hush. I hadn't heard a whole lot about it. I know they've been already producing the compound semaglutide for a while, but Mounjaro wasn't readily available just yet because it's such a new medication that it wasn't being offered. And now here recently, I've seen an uptick in pharmacies and spas and doctors and, just in general, people that are offering the compound version of Mounjaro. So let's get right into it, my loves, because there's so much that I wanted to cover on this video. So I want to start by making clear what exactly a compounding pharmacy is. So a compounding pharmacy or compounding pharmacies individualize or tailor medications to a patient's needs. So that means that they don't just offer one type of medication that treats one thing and another thing and whatnot. They can custom tailor medications to your needs. Compounding pharmacies can create specialized medications by mixing in or mixing ingredients to customize a prescription for you. So what really is the biggest difference between a pharmacy like Walgreens, CVS, the pharmacies at your local grocery stores, and a compounding pharmacy? Well, the biggest difference is that your chain pharmacies are going to be a one-fits-all kind of thing. Now, the other biggest difference is that your chain pharmacies are FDA approved, where provide drugs that are FDA approved, versus compounding pharmacies are non-FDA approved. What is FDA? That's the Food and Drug Administration. This is why I always say be cautious of where you get your medications filled. Usually your doctor is going to send you to a reputable compounding pharmacy. They're not just going to send you to some basement to pick up your medication. And so also make sure that you're going to a reputable provider, because you guys, there are many spas now that are offering these medications, because a lot of times spas are ran by people who have licenses, like registered nurses, practitioners. The spa that I go to, she's a registered nurse, so she can prescribe medication, and she could easily order herself some compound stuff and start wheeling and dealing out of her practice or whatnot. And I see a lot of places doing that. Yes, it's not, for many people, they feel uncomfortable going to a place that isn't FDA approved. But for me, if I'm going to a reputable doctor who has a good history and he's sending me to a reputable compound pharmacy, then I feel fully comfortable, because at the compound pharmacy, they have to have pharmacy technicians that are licensed and regulate the medications accordingly. So they're not just going to be concocting some random medications and then feeding it to their patients. Obviously, that would not be good business. If you think about it, even when medications are FDA approved, they're consistently being recalled. I recall a few years ago, there was a big ordeal with the children's Tylenol. They were recalling all the children's Tylenol because kids were getting sick from the medication. And then there was a huge recall on ibuprofen for a while. There's always recalls on vitamins, on all kinds of medications that are FDA approved, because the FDA can only control so much. Human error is possible at any point, regardless of FDA approval. Don't fall into the fake news, fear mongering of people who are like, compounding pharmacies are not legit. They are legit. They have to be ran by licensed people, just like all the other pharmacies. They are legal. They are, obviously, you want to go visit your compound pharmacy. I go to the one here in Houston. It's called the Woodlands Compounding Pharmacy. It's very clean. They always come, the pharmacist will always come out and explain the medications to me. So I fully believe in the pharmacy that I go to. They're very, like I said, very attentive. It's always a great experience when I go there. So I would never feel or second guess the pharmacy that I currently use. So that's why I say it's really up to you to do your research, find the place that, you feel is suitable. Talk to your doctor. They should usually be able to, if they work with a compounding pharmacy, they will be able to recommend the pharmacy. Also, the biggest benefit to using a compound pharmacy is the cost. So I did mention to you guys in a short the other day that my doctor is now offering the compounding Mounjaro. So you guys, do not fall into the trap of going to these expensive spas and paying an arm and a leg for these medications, okay? Because the real thing is going to run you about $1,100. And I can promise you that once Mounjaro is approved for weight loss and goes by whatever name they decide to go by, it starts with an R, I think that's what people have been saying. They are going to charge just as much, just like Wegovy is really expensive. Wegovy is costing right up about $1,200 a month for this. And if your insurance doesn't cover it, you're going to be paying your doctor visit plus that $1,200. A compound semaglutide is going to cost you anywhere between about $150 to $300 a month, depending in the area that you live in. I was paying $150 a month for it. My doctor now, Dr. Zubieta, is also prescribing the compound Mounjaro. You'll be able to pay for your visit, which is $100 a month if you do not have insurance. But this is without a diabetes diagnosis. Remember, this is just if you do not have a diabetes diagnosis, which
I did a little
undercover work, and I called a few places. And so one in particular here, there is a plastic surgeons doing it in Houston. They will put patients that are going in for plastic surgery on the semaglutide prior to their surgery. Or now they're even offering it as a weight loss program. So you can call, like I've called a few here in Houston, plastic surgeons who you can call and be like, hey, I was calling about the weight loss injection. Somebody told me you guys offer the weight loss injection. This is what they're calling it. And then they're like, oh, do you have a diabetes diagnosis? The moment that you say yes, they're like, okay, well, you'll have to call your provider. Why? Because diabetes is a whole nother beast, right? You got to make sure that your blood work is up to par. You got to make sure that you're healthy. You got to make sure you're regulating your A1C and that you're monitoring it with your provider. When you're doing it just for weight loss, they're assuming that you're a healthy individual and you're a good candidate to be on these medications for weight loss alone. So they don't have to worry about your blood sugar levels and all that good stuff, okay? That being said, most of the doctors that I called here will have a set office visit, right? You've got to pay X, Y, and Z a month. Some of them were as little as $75, some were as expensive as $150 a visit. At your visit, they will prescribe you they won't prescribe you anything. They make you come in on a weekly basis to inject you. My loves, this is the simplest thing to do, is inject yourself. I promise you, I know even for the most skittish people who are like, I don't like needles, I can't do it. It's the tiniest needle. It's virtually painless. Sometimes you can't even feel it go in. And so I promise you that even the compound version of the needle, it's a diabetic needle. So it's the tiniest needle. You do not feel it, I promise you. But if you can't handle it, you're going to have to be okay with paying the price tag. Okay, so one of the doctors in particular that I called, you have to go in weekly. Okay, so I feel like that is such an inconvenience, having to drive to the doctor or to the spa or whatever weekly. And they give you the shot there. So you're in and out, but you have to go and pay for the shot weekly. Okay, it's $100 for the shot. That's the most reasonable price that I found here in Houston. So you pay the $100 visit, and then you go in every week and pay $100 for your weight loss shot. Which I asked them, what is the weight loss shot that you guys are prescribing? What kind of medication is it? And they're like, oh, it's a semaglutide. What does that mean? They're not injecting you with the actual Ozempic or with the actual Wegovy. These doctors are, buying the semaglutide because they have the license to purchase it. And then they're injecting their patients with their vial of compound semaglutide. That's what it is, a compound, because they're not injecting you with an actual pen. So you go in weekly and you pay $100 a week for it. The med spas are doing the exact same thing. I know someone who pays $250 a week to go get injected. This is outrageous to me. And I guess I feel like they don't know where to go or what to say to their healthcare provider, or a lot of healthcare providers do not believe in using this medication for weight loss. Unfortunately, there's other people who are ready to prowl on everyone who is desperately looking for these medications for weight loss. So please, please, please do your homework. Always ask what it is they're injecting you, because I have friends who are paying $100 a week for semaglutide, and now Dr. Zubieta called me and he's charging, what did I say, $250 a month for the whole month supply of medication. So that means these people are paying $500 a month for semaglutide, compound semaglutide, and Zubieta's people who are on the Mounjaro or compound version of Mounjaro are paying $350 a month. And this is the, you know, the a lot of people are seeing good success, like myself, on the semaglutide, but the Tirezepitide is showing greater improvements, right? This is why there's a craze going around Mounjaro right now. So that's why I'm saying do your homework, because you can be paying $500 for the semaglutide or paying $350 for the Tirezepitide. It just depends on where you go. And this doctor makes you leave a credit card on file, because if you don't show up for your shot, guess what? They're charging you that $100 anyways. So that way you can't jump ship once you realize that you could get a much better deal somewhere else, okay? Now, again, it's for my non-diabetics. This is strictly for people who are wanting to do the shot for weight loss, okay? So if you're looking at it from a diabetes standpoint and you need, you know, your health taken care of, this is not your option, okay? Your insurance should be covering these medications because you're a diabetic, and they should cover. If they don't, then it's probably just based strictly off your insurance not covering that medication in particular, okay? So, lesson learned. Is it illegal to go to a compound pharmacy? Is it some kind of basement, undercover, scary, you know, making some meth in a bowl kind of thing? No, it's not, okay? Most of these pharmacies are going to be legitimate, very regulated businesses that have to keep a reputation, and they have to be critical of what they're prescribing, because the moment you start having patients who are getting sick from your medications, there's going to be lawsuits left and right, and you know, I'm sure they don't want to do bad business, okay? Are they all created equal? I'm sure there's not. Just like I go to some Walgreens and they're nice and tidy and everybody's friendly, and then I go to some Walgreens and it's chaos, and yeah, you just have to roll the dice and figure out where it's the best, what is the best option for you, okay? So would I be afraid to? No, I wouldn't be afraid at all to go to a compound pharmacy. Like I said, I started my journey with a compound, never once thought about it. When I was younger, my mom, you know, doctors used to tell her to go to compound pharmacies, and I didn't understand what that meant. I'm like, what is a compounding pharmacy? And they're like, oh, they'll create the medication right then and there and charge you a fraction of the cost because they're not labeled medications, okay? So it is possible, all right? Usually they can't, because of trademark and all that, like because of patented medications, they have to usually add something like B12 to it, and then that alters, right? So it's not the exact medication as Mounjaro or as Ozempic or as Wegovy, but it's the same makeup, right? Chemical makeup. And so they just have to add an additive like B12 so that it throws it off. And now it's not Mounjaro per se, because they've added they've added another ingredient to it. So although that's not a bad thing, adding B12 to it is not at all a bad thing, because B12 helps with metabolism and it helps with burning fat and helps with energy and all that good stuff. So it's actually a good thing, I think, if they do add the B12. But always ask. It's always on the label. When I used to go pick up my medication, the label had all the percentages of everything that was in that vial. And so, like I said, make sure you just choose a reputable location. Make sure that you go visit it physically if you can. Go visit it, go see what the staff is like, go see the cleanliness, ask to talk to the pharmacist, and let them know what their process is. Ask for their licensing. I mean, you can ask if you're not sure. You have all these people who are ready to feed off of the desperate community of obese people who are willing to pay anything sometimes to lose a few pounds. And so I really want to make sure that you guys know your options. So yes, you can go get the real thing if you can afford it. Now, also remember that maybe you trying the compound medication at first is a good thing, because you're not going to be out of pocket so much as if you go straight for the labeled medication, which if you pay, because I have a few of you who tell me that you've taken 1, 2, 3 injections and you've lost no weight. And I could not imagine paying $1,200 a month for a medication and I'm not seeing any weight loss results. Could you imagine? Oh my goodness. Remember also, biggest thing to remember is that it's not the medication alone. The medication is life changing. I can't deny that. It has helped tremendously in the diabetes community because they've seen their A1C numbers like never before. It's also the only reason why I am where I am today, because never with any other supplements, medications, anything have I taken that has helped me reach this weight in over 20 years. But you still have to put in the work. And so I know a lot of diabetics who are on Mounjaro and have not lost any weight at all, because they don't change their eating habits, because to them it's just another medication they have to take to help them regulate something in their body. They don't understand it. They don't realize that this is your opportunity to be able to help with the weight loss, to maybe help you get to those better numbers. They just feel like they want to inject themselves and be done with it, keep living their normal lives, keep living their normal, and so they may lose a few in the beginning, in the first few months, because they don't realize that they're eating less, but in the long term they regain it back to their normal, right? And I want to say that's why the weight loss community that's on these medications is doing really well, because you're making a conscious effort to diet and exercise and take advantage of the hunger suppression, to say, no, I don't want to eat. No, I'm not hungry. The food noise is so much less on these medications. And so really it's up to you to take advantage of this tool to make the best choices you can make. And remember that anything that you do that is extreme is going to cause failure in the long term. So you really, really want to take this time to focus on your eating habits. Take this time to realize what your portions should actually look like on a plate. Take this time to focus on making better choices, because it's so much easier to make better choices when you're not starving. Because if I'm starving, my loves, I will eat whatever is lying around. If it's a bag of Cheez-Its or a cookie, or when you're hungry, you do not make the best choices. So that's why this medication is so powerful, because it really suppresses your appetite. And so that's when you have to really plan and make sure that you're making healthier options, so that you get used to doing this, so that later on you're unconsciously picking the better choices, because you're just used to it by now. And so that's why I think we have to be conscious of our efforts during this time. It's crucial to your success, because like I said, I was always a huge binge eater, and I know you guys want to get on this medication and lose 20 pounds the first week. It is just not physically possible. Okay, that is not the right way to go into this journey. Okay, a lot of you are new to the journey and are telling me like, I just took my first shot, I didn't lose as much weight as I thought I would, or I'm on my second shot and I've only lost 2 or 3 pounds. That is normal. Do not lose your patience so quickly in the journey, because I promise you, if you stick with it long term, you will see results. Okay, so it's not normal. I mean, yes, it's possible to lose a lot of weight in the beginning, but it's also possible to lose it slowly. What you want to do is just stay consistent. Okay, take advantage, like I said, make better choices, cut down your portions. Like, this is the best time to do that. Like, there's no other time. Do not restrict eat on this diet. Do not cut out whole food groups. Do not enjoy things that you want, just in moderation. Learn how to eat in moderation. I never understood what that meant. People are like, oh, you can still have this in moderation. I'd be like, no, you gotta cut it. You gotta not eat sugar. You can't have sodas. You can't and then if I didn't lose 5 pounds in 1 week, I'd be starving, and then I'd be like, not doing this. I'm gonna enjoy whatever I want to eat. I'm just gonna eat what I want, and I'll start Monday. That was my thought process for so many years. Starvation, restriction, and then binge eating. Vicious cycle. So this is really, really important that you take the time to learn to eat so that you realize that food is not the enemy. And I promise you, like, you'll start getting it, my loves. It takes time. In the beginning, when I first started this medication, I was the same way. I was like, okay, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds this week because I'm on this miracle medication. It's gonna make me lose crazy amount of weight. And if I diet like I normally would and I fast all day and I eat very little, like, I'm gonna drop the weight. But that was the wrong mindset. It's the wrong mindset because I have to be able to sustain this post medication. I'm not going to be on this medication long term because I don't need to be. I'm learning to eat. And I didn't think a year ago, if you had asked me, there's no way. I felt so addicted to this medication that I felt like, no, I have to stay on it. I can't come off of it. Like, I'm going to fail the moment that I come off this medication. And now I'm feeling way, way, way more confident that I've learned how to sustain. Like, I've learned that, okay, the weeks that I fast for most of the day, I can eat decent in the evening and I'm sustaining my weight and it's okay. And so that works for me. Fasting all day works for me. And so you just have to find what works for you so that you can keep those habits post medication if you're not going to be on them long term. So I hope this video was helpful, my loves. I really, really was. It's late right now. It is 10 o'clock at night and I've been up since 4:30 this morning. I went to work all day, but on my way to the office, I'm listening to people talking about compounds and Mounjaro and Wegovy and Ozempic and all this craze that's going on in the media. It just seems like it does not slow down. All of a sudden, my news channel is talking about Mounjaro and how people are, there's all these stories now coming out in local news stations of different people on their journeys and whatnot. So I just kind of really wanted to ease your concerns about using compound pharmacies and maybe better explain that the biggest thing is just the FDA being involved, right? And so I hope this was helpful, my loves. Thank you so much if you're still here watching me. I appreciate you guys dearly, and like, I brag about you guys all the time. I absolutely love my community here. So leave it in the comments. Let me know what your concerns are or what you've been hearing. Let me know what you are doing or what you've been hearing in your area, about compound pharmacies. Are they charging, what are they charging where you're at and all that good stuff, so that we can learn from each other and figure this out together. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Until next time, talk soon.